I went in and I showed the team the clip, and I said, hey,
Yeah.
so we're going to have some open and honest conversations. What do we want our identity to be? And I make everybody talk. I make everybody say something and find their voice. And the consensus was, hey, we want to be gritty and we want to be blue collar. And you're not going to want to play us because it's not going to be fun for you,
Welcome to the JAMODI Podcast. Today we're joined by the head men's basketball coach at Paris Junior College, Preston Tabor. Coach Tabor was a standout player at Grayford High School, earning 3 All-State selections and scoring over 2,000 career points. He continued his playing career at UT Permian Basin, Northlake College, and the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. Coach Tabor began his coaching career at North Texas, spending 1 year as a student assistant and 2 years as a graduate assistant under Grant McCaslin and Ross Hodge. During that time, the Mean Green won the 2023 NIT Championship and reached the 2025 NIT semifinals. He then joined Paris Junior College as an assistant before becoming the head coach of the Dragons, where he currently holds a 13-12 career record. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at JAMODI Podcast. Coaches, the JAMODI Podcast is powered by Grip Spritz. Grip Spritz makes the annoying parts of coaching easy. Stop peeling off sticky sheets every time a player subs in. Grip Spritz provides game-long grip with no in-game maintenance at half the cost of a traditional sticky pad. The Grip Spritz court mop ensures your court is clean, safe, and ready to play on instantly. Weighing less than 10 pounds, anyone on your team or staff can clean the entire court in under 10 minutes. JAMODI Podcast listeners save 10% with code JAMODI at gripspritz.com. Coach, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Man, I can't complain. Just first want to congratulate you on the new gig, or I guess, were you at Paris already as the interim coach and then got the official nod? How'd that work?
So I started this year as the assistant, and 3 games in, I got moved to the interim, and just last Thursday I got pulled into office and got offered the job. So it was amazing, how quickly it happened.
Yeah, how'd that feel?
Oh man, can't beat that feeling. You can't. I kind of felt like I had the weight of the world on, and still there's still that weight, but it's like now there's just a little bit of certainty to it. So
yeah, for sure. So obviously don't need to go into why the 3 games in and everything that happened there, but
right.
Just kind of take me through a little bit of how you felt in that moment. You came there to be an assistant coach. Obviously, a head coaching job was something you wanted in your future, but
right.
I bet you couldn't have guessed that it would be 3 games in where you get that chance.
Yeah, I couldn't have even imagined it, man. Came to JUCO to pay my dues and work up the ladder, but God works in crazy ways, man. Truly, and just kind of opportunity like fell in my lap a little bit and kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and haven't looked back. So it's been an amazing experience, and just the fact that it's happened so quick, it didn't even give me time to think about it. I didn't even get time to think about what I was doing. I just started doing it, and it's working out.
Yeah. Well, what was that like though? So you're an assistant coach. You've been doing everything in the fall, getting ready for the season. You're 3 games in. One day you're the assistant. The very next day you're leading the program, and that's not typical. That's not normally when you take over a job. Even for me at Midway, I got the job in late May, June, so I have that prep time going in. What's it like going from assistant to head, in a day?
I mean, it was difficult, because you, as the assistant, you're kind of the cool guy, and then you slide over a chair, and you're not really the cool guy anymore. So that was, but I mean, we just had a meeting and, just set expectations from hour 1 and just, hey, this is what it's going to look like. And if we're going to be successful, I've been blessed to do a lot of winning, and, there's different variables, but the main thing stays the main thing. And there's a clear foundation of what winning looks like. So we just set those expectations from literally hour 1 and just rolled with it. And how I said, it's just kind of been working out. And the guys are really loving it too, as far as just, hey, they're kind of getting out of it, what they're putting into it. So
yeah, love that. I think it says a lot about them to be able to, well, it says a lot about the relationship that you had with them before, that when that change happened, they were able to get behind you so quickly and, like you said, kind of respect the change that you had to do. Because you're right. I had great relationships with my assistant coaches in college, not so much now, especially my first coach, not so much the head coach then.
Right.
And you get to know those assistant coaches a little bit more and almost on a friendly basis sometimes.
Right.
And then, but you make that switch over. So I think it says a lot about the character of those guys and then also the relationship that you had with them already.
Yeah, undoubtedly, man. Hey, we have 9 guys on the roster right now, and I wouldn't trade any of these guys for the world. They've been, troopers and kind of stuck with me because I'm having growing pains, of course. I'm having growing pains the same as anybody else. I was having growing pains as assistant, but, they had the same way I have their back, they have my back 100%. And they've, yeah, I can't imagine another group of guys that would make this transition as smooth as these 9 have.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, giving up your time. I've been a big fan of yours, kind of indirectly, but through your dad, who
Right.
I think is one of the best coaches in Texas. I mean, Texas has a lot of great high school and college coaches, and I just put him up there from watching what he's done at Crum and with his programs and players, and then to get to kind of know a little bit about you through him. This is just an honor for me.
Right. Hey man, I've been a listener for a long time now. So just seeing the people that you've had on this podcast and just being you reaching out and hitting me up, man, the honor's all mine, man. So and I appreciate the kind words about my dad. So I appreciate that.
You talked a little bit about moving over from that, 19 inches from that assistant chair to head coaching chair. And then all of a sudden now the standards and the pillars of the program aren't necessarily what the head coach that brought you in. It's not his standards. Now it's yours. And so maybe some of those were the same, or maybe you had a whole new idea of, this is actually how a program that I'm leading, how we're going to be every day. So what are those standards pillars that you're instilling in those guys?
Yeah, so our standards are everything to us, first of all. It's what we come in and hang our hat on completely. And those are definitely togetherness and toughness, man. We want to be the toughest team in the country and we want to be the most together team. I preach to these guys all the time. Like everybody at this level, is talented, without a doubt. We are talented. The team that we're gonna line up across from is talented. So it's like, how can we gain an edge on them? You know, and I firmly believe that edge comes from, can you get 50-50 balls? Can you go up and grab a rebound with 2 hands? Can you put your chest on somebody while you're guarding them? And then after the play, hey, can we huddle up and look each other in the eyes? Can the bench be really good while things are going wrong and they're going on a run? Can we, come together and calm down and say, hey, this is what we need to do without me always having to be the one that says it? And I just, so togetherness, man, and toughness are completely everything to me.
Yeah, love that. Especially what you said about them coming together and looking each other in the eye, especially when it's not going well, or the bench being hyped, especially when it's not going well.
Right.
And you're right on the money. I think that's the sign of a great culture is when you're down in a game, but your team finally does something positive. What's the bench doing? And I don't know about you. I love to watch film back and find some of those moments. And I'm going to we just had our end of season banquet. We call snaps, just a snap from PGC. And
Yeah.
we try to snap to celebrate things. And I put a highlight film together and we watch it. And then a senior, his name's Boone Browning. He asked, he's like, hey coach, what about like the bench clips? Because all year long I was talking about how, man, our bench is phenomenal and I need to get some clips of those together and we'll kind of show some things.
Yeah.
I never quite did that in film. If we ended up scoring or getting a charge on our end and it erupted, I would show that and highlight that. But
Yeah.
the fact that he even asked in the middle of everybody, maybe he was kind of joking, it made me feel a little bit bad that I didn't do it, but there is something to that, right?
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, you could ask any of our guys, like, hey, what's going to come at the end of film? And it's going to show us huddling up. It's going to show our bench, whether something good happens, whether something bad happens. Are we standing up and clapping? Are we high fiving? Are we meeting the players out there after at media timeouts? All of that stuff. I think, the little things are just what carry the big things. And if you don't have that energy coming, it's hard to rely on making shots to bring that energy. You truly
So
can't.
true.
And
Yeah.
so, we make it a point, and it's definitely our culture and standard. Like, hey, I don't care what's going on out there. We could be down 30, we could be up 30. We are gonna cheer like it's a 1-point game, and like he just made a shot or got a defensive stop that is about to win us this deal. Because truly, it can. You know.
When you see some clips of the guys not doing that, you finally get that stop or you hit that bucket and some are sitting down, media timeout, not aggressively going out and finding a free throw. And if this is your culture to kind of circle up, and which
Right.
we started doing that here at Midway. And if you see it not happening, how do you address that? Do you address that in film kind of the same way you do the positives? How does that work?
Yeah, yeah. So I address it in film, almost every single film session, honestly. And I don't know if that's good or bad, man, but I'm guilty of it one way or the other. And then we also make it a real point of emphasis on the court too. So, we'll split into two teams and we compete every single day against one another.
Yeah.
I think that's really important for us. We can't just go out there and go 5-0 and shoot and call it a day. We have to compete and sweat, and so we have a winner and we have a loser in almost everything that we do. Oh, the loser has an 11 or they have some type of, running or what. And, if they lose and they don't, they're not like talking to each other and not looking at, I mean, that turns into a real problem. So, they need to be as, you know, and I know losing sucks and we hate losing, but it's one of these deals. Hey, losing is going to happen and you are going to have things that happen that are bad, but you have to be man enough or, whatever, and look each other in the eye and like take ownership and be like, hey man, that's not happening again.
Yeah. A couple things you said right there I thought were good was one, address it in practice. It's tough if you're only watching the clips from in games and saying, hey, we need to be better in these moments. I mean,
Yeah.
that's good, but that's in the past.
Right.
And so even though it's great to give that reminder, there's nothing like in the moment. And you can't do that in games. You can't take that time,
Right.
but in practice you can. Well, how do you get to see them in those moments in practice? They've got to be competing. They've got to be playing
Yes.
in some type of game, some type of situation that will bring out that frustration, will bring out those moments
Without a
so that
doubt.
you can either celebrate, hey, guys, the way you just came together when something bad happened, that's it. Like
Yes.
that's keep doing that. Or you can highlight it in practice because I don't know about you. I always feel like a bad coach when I'm reminding them of something or talking to them about something in a game that we haven't practiced, we haven't
Right.
worked on. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, we have to block out. Like if you don't work on blockouts every day, what's the reminder? Like what's really going to happen? So I
Right.
think you nailed it right there by addressing it in practice, but that means you got to get them to that level.
Yes. Yeah. And me and my assistant coach, we make it a point to, we're going to roll that ball out there and we're going to compete, and we're going to have a winner and loser. And like I said, almost anything we do. And, we want everybody to figure out what it feels like to actually go out there and compete and not just play hard and play to win, and then that's where that togetherness part comes through. Like when you lose, how together can you stay? Can you bounce back in the next drill?
I feel like Coach McCaslin said something about that in a video that I saw a few times on Instagram, the difference between competing and playing hard. What are your thoughts on those two? What is the difference?
Yeah, I think, to me, I was fortunate enough to be a student assistant when we won the NIT over there at North Texas with Grant McCaslin and learned a lot from him. And then I was a GA with Ross Hodge the next 2 years. So, I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's one of those deals like just wisdom flying all over the gym, man. And just competing is just, to me, my rendition of it is just like, hey, you can empty the tank on every play, but are you making winning plays? Is it about actually winning to you, or is it just looking like watch me, I'm playing so hard? Am I diving on the loose ball that's going to am I at the rim? Am I actually guarding the ball? Doing the actual tough task that it takes to win, and
Yeah.
not just that I'm sprinting up the court or, something of the like.
Yeah. Love that. I think that's a struggle for all of us is even from a coach's perspective, how do I train my eyes to see the difference? Because I think you walk in a gym and you can kind of notice the guys that are playing hard, or maybe even see a whole group, a whole team like, yeah, they're playing pretty hard in practice, but to see that next level of true competition, and then also to have the ability to maybe comment on that when we do harness it and talk about it in that moment, highlight it. I don't know if I'm there. If I truly, I think as a player, I understood it, but as a coach, when I'm watching practice, am I hunting for those moments, or am I just okay with, yeah, we're playing hard, we're sweating, we're running up and down, they're breathing kind of heavy, they hit each other a few times. I think I might need to search for competition more.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I was really fortunate, to be around two really, really elite staffs that were just always, able to bring that out of people. So that was really all I saw, for 3 years straight. And then, you can
Yeah,
go watch AAU and to me, the biggest thing, and I talk to the guys about this all the time, is like you can tell, or at least at this point, I've gotten to the point I can tell watching somebody if they are playing to win or are they playing to like just, hey, look at me, I'm scoring all these points, hey, I'm making play, like, or are you actually about winning? And that's what we try to talk about all the time here. Hey, you have to be all about winning and nothing else. And once you
yeah.
kind of let something else creep in, that's when things don't really work out for you.
Let's say you have a guy in practice that you see some habits, maybe some body language, some plays that are happening that you've discussed as a team, like that this doesn't lead to winning. How do you redirect them? You could go the Coach Huggins
Mhm.
route of treadmill, because one of my buddies at TABC years ago said when he was at West Virginia, he was talking and my buddy raised his hand. I couldn't believe he raised his hand. And he said, "Coach, how do you get your guys to play so hard?" And he looks at me, goes, "Treadmill." And he moves on to, like, the next thing, and my buddy's
Right.
like, "What? Like, that's it?" Yeah, and he had treadmills, so when you see that, how do you redirect? How do you correct that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have the resources to do quite the treadmill stuff, but we got a clock up there on the wall, and we got a baseline to baseline. So we do a lot of running, and then it's gotten to the point. I mean, we have a complete program of accountability, man. Like it's gotten to that point in the season. Like, hey, if my team leaders will kind of check that deal and like, hey, man, you need to start picking this deal up, because now I feel like everybody in the group. I've said it so much because I say it till I'm blue in the face, man. And I feel like others are starting to be able to see, like, hey, this is what winning looks like, and this is what it does not look like.
Yeah. Man, that's good. You said togetherness and toughness.
Yes, sir.
Which toughness is one of those that I think every coach wants tough players, and then there's a debate of, can you create it if it's not there? Maybe if it is there, you can enhance it a little bit, but how do you create toughness in players?
I think it's to do with everything that we, and just personally speaking from our program, man, just everything we do every single day. We when it's shell drill, man, it's so intense you wouldn't believe it. And if you're not guarding the basketball with some intensity and putting your chest on them, or you're not tough enough to come over at the rim and help over, or you're not tough enough to like be what we call the rover and be in the right spot. I mean, to me, toughness is not only physical but mental. And we talk about it all the time, like pregame, postgame, film session. Like you have to be mentally tough enough to execute while things aren't going bad or while things aren't going good, and while you're tired. But you also have to be physically tough enough. Like, hey, when I'm guarding the ball, I'm going to put my chest on them. That shot goes up, I'm gonna put my hip in them and drive them out. So I think it's kind of a two-way deal. You have to be tough enough upstairs, and you also have to be tough enough physically.
And in a place where you can go out and find the players that fit the culture and the style of play, when you're looking at watching an AAU game, a high school game, what are some of those tough, maybe you just mentioned it, but what are some of those things from high school players that in the toughness world that really jumps out at you? And because I think that would be helpful for high school coaches to hear, because then we can relay that to our players. I mean, one of my pet peeves is fake tough. I can't stand fake tough and all of the things that looked or try to act like tough but aren't. And so discussing those with our players, what are some of those things? But what do you see or what do you look for when you see toughness? You're like, yeah, that's it.
Well, the baseline always starts with like having a high motor, because not everybody, I mean, I go to AAU tournaments and high school games and playing hard for the whole time you're in there is so rare to
Yeah.
see. I mean, it's actually incredible. So, that's the baseline. And then just like not giving up on plays, you know, like sprinting. And to me, being tough is being a good teammate. I mean, honestly, like, cause that is hard when things aren't going good for you. Can I dive into the other people? Can I put my team first, like, and my own self gratification, like, last? So
Yeah.
think I think all that stuff plays into it. How good of a teammate you can be. Obviously, a high motor, and then just like I said, like just keep on just making winning plays and affecting winning at a high rate.
So you coached with and worked for some amazing guys, but now being in charge, what's that style of play that you really like and that's your favorite to teach?
Right. Like I said, man, worked for Coach McCaslin and Coach Hodge, man. So my favorite deal is kind of because in high school, my dad, man, just run and gun and so I used to love offense, man. And not saying my dad doesn't coach defense, he coaches defense, but
Yeah, he does.
at
Yeah.
UNT we were playing real slow pace, and hey, we're gonna guard you the whole time, and so my favorite style is just coaching hard nosed defense, man. Like nothing nothing can bring a smile to my face like good defensive rotations and guarding the basketball and not giving up an offensive rebound, man. Honestly, to me it doesn't get better than that, and maybe that makes
Wow.
me sound like a
You
sicko,
and I
but
are on opposite ends of the spectrum there of what brings us joy, but I appreciate it. I mean, there's always every year I always try to have, and I have a couple assistants now at Midway that do kind of have that defensive mind and are looking at that because
right,
I'm kind of focused on the other side. But
yes,
no, I appreciate that. In junior college, which I've always kind of thought as more of a fast-paced game and a lot of shots up and quick possessions. Do you find yourself being different in the style of play, which different can be really good? In the
right.
fact that when they teams play you, man, they're going to go against not and maybe that's a I don't mean it to be. Maybe it's a knock on other schools that I don't even know. Like maybe there are more teams that think like you in junior college, but how does that line up with how other teams play?
Yeah, so you definitely, I feel like a lot of teams like to play really fast, but no, we definitely run into some teams that want to slow it down, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how to meld this thing, and we're figuring it out. Like we play really hard nosed defense, but we want to push the ball. We want to run out wide and get easy transition layups and kick ahead threes and whatnot. But like for instance, like Angelina College, they want to play a game in the 50s. It seems like so. They'll come down and they run stuff and make you guard them, and they run really good stuff. So it's really hard to guard them for 30 seconds, and then they also play really, really hard nosed defense. And so I mean, it's what I'm talking about kind of, but then you might play somebody else that just run and gun and they just kind of stay in front of you on defense and they're just looking to play offense, which is not a knock, but I mean, it's just different styles.
Yeah. So more on the pressure side or more containment where we're just going to stop you from running the things you want to run and make everything hard.
So we do a little mixture of both because we like to
Okay.
press. But most of our presses end up like, hey, we might opportunistically trap you, but if that's not
Mhm.
there, then we're just settling in and we're just going to guard you. And now we like to set the line of scrimmage defensively, so we don't let people walk us down below the 3-point line or anything like that. And once
Mm.
they hit us, it's just controlled pressure. So we're not backing down and we're not gambling, but we're just going to be there the whole time.
But I think with the pressing style, at least that creates some faster possessions, quicker possessions. 'Cause I was
Yes.
wondering, like you said, you wanted to get up and down and run and play fast offensively, and I've always felt the conflict between trying to play more of a controlled style of defense where we don't unfortunately don't have a shot clock, but they may go 30, 45 seconds into it. But then, yeah, when we get it, let's race. I don't know, and maybe this is more the high school level and that college players can do both. I think college players and pro players maybe can do both of we understand what we're doing on this side, but then we can switch gears and go fast the other way. I've seen when I go pack line, for example, 7 or 8 years ago, man, our scoring dropped way down. One, less possessions, but also we just weren't as dynamic. Start
Right.
pressing, and all of a sudden everything goes up, it seems. But do you feel like you guys can do both and be pretty efficient or effective in both?
I think we can.
Yeah.
We just had we talk about it a lot. A lot of intentionality. Like, there's no secrets about what we're trying to do, and I don't make them try to guess. I tell them like, hey, this is defensively. We are going to guard them. It doesn't matter if it takes 25 seconds, 30 seconds, or 8 seconds. We're going to
Yeah.
block out. Not no offensive rebounds, and once we get that deal, now we're gone. And we want to kick it ahead and run wide and get the first open look we get, especially after a paint touch. We love paint touch kick out threes and lates and all that stuff. But, defensively, I think our guy and it's all a buy-in thing,
Yeah.
and I think our guys have really bought into like, hey, defensively, we're some of the toughest dudes in the country. And, they wear it like a badge of honor. Truly.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, identity, right? Like that's what you're talking about. It doesn't really matter what direction you choose to go, I think. You just better have a direction and the guys better understand, your players better understand what do we hang our hat on? What is our identity? And if I'm playing a team and after we get done playing, I'm talking with my assistant coaches and I'm wondering, well, I'm not sure where they were trying to find success or what their identity was. I think that's a big deal. It sounds like your guys are really buying into that identity of, man, we're going to guard harder than everybody else. When you play us, it's just going to be the worst night of your life.
Yes.
That's a great identity.
Yeah, yeah, we talk about, hey, man, when those people get back on the bus to go home, they're not even gonna know what just happened to them. They're gonna be bumped, bruised, and confused about what just happened. So,
Yeah.
and it's funny you say identity. Like at the beginning of the year, I'm talking couple days into me being the head coach. That was when Texas A&M was really down to South Carolina in football at home, and then they went to halftime, and came out and they ended up winning the game. And I was watching Mike Elko's press conference afterwards, and they asked him what he said in the locker room. He said, nothing really. Just talked about, hey, what's our identity? And it's blue collar. And so I loved it. I went in and I showed the team the clip, and I said, hey,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have some open and honest conversations. What do we want our identity to be?
Yeah.
And the consent, and I make everybody talk. I make everybody say something and find their voice. And the consensus was, hey, we want to be gritty and we want to be blue collar. And you're not going to want to play us because it's not going to be fun for you. So
Yeah. Man, what a huge moment there, though, of one asking your players of what the identity they wanted, because I'm guilty of it. And I know a lot of coaches are of, hey, guys, this is your identity. You better like it. Hey, guys, here's your culture. You see this? You see this acronym? This is who we are. And not knocking any of those things. And even, golly, I came to Midway and first thing I said was, we're going to play fast offensively. Like we're going to run a gun. We're going to shoot the three with courage. I basically told them what our offensive identity without knowing if they could do it or not, or if
right,
they wanted that or not. And I just imagine that most players, if you said, do you want to shoot more or less, they'll choose shoot more. But I think the incredible to ask them so that way you're co-creators
yeah.
of that identity, that culture, way more buy-in that way, right?
Yes, yes, and it helps a lot in film, to be honest. I'll show a play that isn't necessarily gritty or necessarily tough, and just say, hey, we said we wanted to be blue collar. So if we say we want to be we have to be blue collar, and we have to do the
Yeah.
things that it takes, you know. And to me, like I said, man, I'm maybe kind of a sicko, but to me, like, there's one way to win, and it's through being just tough and gritty.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. There's a book that you probably don't want to read. There's a book that you don't want to read called Offense Wins by Joe Crispin. No, actually, even a defensive minded guy, so many golden nuggets in this thing.
Right.
But it's when I was reading it, and I had the pleasure of having Coach Crispin on. And when I was reading it, I thought, this is like this just rings true to me. But I think that's when you know you're in your sweet spot, right? Like the way you talk about guarding and everything is the way I talk about running a gun or feel about that. And
Right.
at the end of the day, obviously your players have to have some say and buy-in, but I think they're gonna have even more when they see how much you believe in it. And
Right.
like I believe in this because my coach believes in this so much. And I think deep down players do want to please us. They may act like it often like they don't,
Right.
but I think as people we're typically more pleasers, especially once we can break down some walls. But yeah, your passion for it, I bet that sells it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And me and my assistant, we get up there and we just talk about it all the time. Like, hey, if we want to win, this is what we will do, you know? And like how we talked about earlier, hey, credit all the credit to these guys in the pro, like, because
Yeah.
without them, we're just up there talking. So, them going between the lines and buying in and taking pride in it is everything.
Yeah, I thank my guys all the time for that exact thing. I say, guys, without you, I'm just some crazy person walking on the sideline yelling at nothing, or cheering on nothing. And
Right.
so, no doubt, I don't think there's anything wrong with us letting them know how much we appreciate them,
Right.
the privilege that it is for us to get to coach them.
Yeah.
And even when times are tough, man, there's just nowhere else we'd rather be, nothing else we'd rather do. You mentioned your assistant coach, so did you already have somebody else there as kind of the 3rd seat when you bumped up, he just came up, or did you get to bring somebody on when you moved up?
So I was the only assistant. So I made a phone call to Billy McSteed that was at Paris High School for a long time, and he
Oh,
has almost
wow, yeah.
career wins at the high school level and has accomplished a ton of great things. And man, he's been absolutely excellent. To bring him in, and I'm learning so much from him day in and day. I sit over here, man, and I just throw ideas off of him all day long and just learn, man. So he's been great.
What an amazing hire. I've known him for a long time, always been a huge fan, and, I don't think he knows me, but I definitely know him, and when I was a assistant at McKinney High School, we played them one time and just we were up 10-0, feeling really good about ourselves, which I'd love to know the math or the stats on this is a random thing, but I think when you get up 9-0, 10-0, 10-1, 11-1, I think you lose that game a ton most of the time. When you get that, it's like the kiss of death,
Yeah.
and I
So
gotta find what's the stats on that? It's the same way that if you miss an open layup, they score a layup.
right.
Like, I think that happens at a 97% rate. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know anyway. Um, Amazing hire, and what is that dynamic like? Because 'Cause you're a young guy, and how many years at North Texas and everything total?
3. I was in North Texas for 3 years.
And so this is year 4
Yes,
or
sir.
going into year 5. Yeah, and he's been doing it for so long. So, first, what a great example that you've set for all of us to not worry or second guess hiring very accomplished and seasoned coaches that are maybe looking to do something different. Like, tip my hat to you for doing that.
Thank
What's
you.
that dynamic been like for you are the head coach, but he has so much experience. You kind of said you're just learning a bunch of stuff, but how is
Mm.
that you guys working together?
I think it's been amazing. I've gotten to really know because before, I talked to him on the phone a few times, but I'd never really met him in person.
Yeah,
And then he comes up here and we just kind of, we hang around each other a little bit more and talk more. And I think he kind of brings a little bit different, obviously a different viewpoint to things. He's a little bit more run and gun and play fast. So, we look at things just a little bit different, but which is great. It's
together.
healthy. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
completely healthy, and
yeah.
and I tell him all the time, like, "Hey, man, if you hear something I say that you don't think is necessarily true or correct or right, like, tell me what you think," and my office is a complete sounding board just for ideas, and, no, he's been nothing but the best, man, and I've already learned so much. I've been around him for, I think, 3, 4 months now, and man, I just it's incredible how much I've learned.
The JAMODI Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. What would you say is one thing that makes your program different?
Man, I think really just the intentionality. And I don't know if that's, sounds stupid or whatever, but just with everything we do, man, there's just so much intentionality, and I make sure that the players understand, hey, this is why we are doing what we are doing. Whether that's showing them like a clip from film, whether that's talking about something that happened earlier in practice or a practice before, or just in general, just talking about the togetherness and the, stay together and huddles. Like, why do we do that? So that it's nothing like they can't think coach is just saying, we need to do this just because coach is saying it. They understand that, like, we need to huddle to be together and talk to each other so we can withstand tough times. So I think it's really, really important they understand why we are doing stuff.
Not stupid at all. I think intentionality is a great thing for your program to be known for. I would like to think that after 1 year here, or really 6 months here, that people have felt that, about everything that we do with culture, with training, with how we talk to each other, with meetings, everything. There
Right.
has to be because, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody I think wants to feel like they're improving, they're getting better, that there is a plan and that this is going somewhere. No one wants to waste their time.
Right.
The coaches don't want to, players don't want to, especially these players that there's a window to their career. Like you don't get to do this forever. And so you better be intentional with your time. And then the idea of like, this is why. I think we're past, and I don't, maybe you were like this as a player because of your dad, but definitely I was like this. And we're past those days of just tell me what to do and I'll do it no matter what. I
Right.
don't even care. You want me to run through that brick wall? I'm going to try. I don't know if that, I think because of their phones, because of how they're raised, I
Right.
think they need to know why. Because the instant buy-in or the instant acceptance to an idea, I don't know if it's there as much anymore. And so how do we get that? It's it's the why behind things. And
Absolutely.
my last point is I think we have to be careful of just doing the same things we've always done because it's maybe worked in the past or we're comfortable with that.
Right.
Like coaches, we need to go look at our practice plan from 5 years ago, if we have them, and check them to this past year. What's the same? What's different? Or even just look at your practice schedule in general and pick out the things that really don't lead to winning.
Right.
And Tyler Costin has a great idea of go through and eliminate a quarter of your practice. You put it together. Okay, now go back and take a quarter of it away. The things you're going to do, the things that you really don't need, but for some reason you're trying to squeeze it in a 6-minute segment
Right.
that you think are so important. But I think intentionality is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, we exactly like you said, man. We don't wanna waste our time. We don't wanna waste their time. If we can get in there and intentionally move through practice and get everything done that we need to do to be able to win in the next game, I mean, we're gonna get it in there, we're gonna get it done.
I want to bounce back. I had it written down and I'm glad I remembered it. Rebounding. I would imagine your defensive style of play, you're going to work so hard and guard the crap out of it. If they do get to shoot and they miss, you better get the rebound. Like I
Yes.
would imagine, because if you don't play good defense and they shoot it and get the rebound, who cares? We didn't play good defense to begin with. But if you're going to work that hard and give so much effort and time and attention, man, finish the thing, get the
Right.
rebound.
Yes.
I I am self-proclaimed not a great rebounding coach. I don't feel like I've ever had really strong rebounding teams. I think I sometimes maybe emphasize the offensive glass a little bit more, which that's maybe why. But
Right.
what are some things that you do to create really good rebounding teams or players, especially in practice?
It's a tricky thing because it just comes down to their will, man. So we talk about your will, and that comes back to your will to win and how tough can you be. And rebounding is both physical and mental toughness. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
So, and not as much at this point in the season, but definitely early in the season and I mean, like we do a lot of hitting, like shell block out. I mean, whatever it is, we are at some point in the practice, we are getting a manager out there to shoot the ball, and everybody's going to go hit somebody. And like I said, we have winners and losers, so they really compete. And then by the time you look up and it's March, and now hey, whenever that shot goes up and I'm hitting, creating a rebounding area, like that's just second nature to them, and it's something
Yeah.
that they do naturally at this point.
Early on in the year, a lot of physicality in practice, but you
Yeah.
mentioned competing every practice. How have you tailored back at all throughout the spring? I remember I don't even know where I heard this, but I remember Coach K talking about, after January or in January, it's all 5 on it, nothing against each other. And I thought, okay, maybe with those dudes,
Yeah.
but there's something to that. Like, what's the best availability? And
Yes.
so it's all about calculated risk. Coach, this year, we were competing every practice all the way until the last one. Like kind of you, everything had a winner and a loser.
Right.
And we were blessed to not have many injuries or anything happen. Could have for sure. But
Yeah.
what do you kind of keep that same mentality all the way through, or do you taper off a little bit?
So we definitely taper it off a little bit because we have specific drills that are like just rebounding rather than just playing. So we have more. We play still and we compete against one another, whether that's defensive transition or shell or something like. But we definitely, early in the season, man, we're hitting every day.
Yeah.
I heard this deal from Kirby Smart, man, whenever they're gearing up to go play in the SEC championship. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but he
Mm,
got asked like, are you guys gonna something along the lines of, hey, are you guys gonna tail it back, to get ready for the college football playoffs? It's just the SEC championship, and he was talking about, if you practice scared, you turn into playing scared. And now I don't necessarily think tailoring it back is practicing scared, but I think that there's definitely
yeah.
something to that.
And I think you got to know your team, right? What do
Yes.
they need? I've really relied on assistant coaches over the years because I think somewhere, somehow along the way, you just start to maybe have some blind spots as a coach, things that you just don't see, especially if you're really one-sided with how you view the game. And that's where having those guys that like, and you nailed it, like this is a sounding board. There's nothing that you can't say that is wrong. I need your ideas and feedback. I think
100%.
you got to have those people in your corner that they may notice a decline in physicality, a lack of attention to what I would call hitting and getting, like making that hit and then go getting that ball. But I don't see that. But that's where you need those coaches to say, "Hey, let's have a competitive one. Let's throw one of these in there, one of our favorite rebounding drills." But then I'm right along with you of the want. If we believe that this equates to winning, getting more shots up than them, to me, equates to winning. There's a couple ways to do that. One of the best ways is to get more offensive rebounds than they do. Like, it's
Right.
just one of the best ways. So if we believe that, then it's like what the UCLA coach said. He was asked about, you guys gonna work on your rebounding, or what do you do to become a better rebounding team? And he's like, "What one, his comebacks are just awesome." But he's like, I mean, hey, like it's rebounding. We're just gonna remind them, go get it. We need to do this to win. You gotta want it more. So it's something easy.
It's easy for us to sit in that chair and say it, and you were a phenomenal player, man, so you know it better than probably anybody else, but, like, it's a lot different than saying it and actually going to do it. So,
Yeah.
and that's why we just rely on, like, preseason and kinda like, a couple months ago, we're building those habits that way we don't absolutely just have to work on it all the time, and these guys still understand, like, whenever I show it in film, "Hey, you didn't go hit, you have to make a rebounding area," and they understand exactly what I'm talking about, and it's, part of their nature.
Yeah. Great little nugget you said there, though, about not just not assuming that something's easy for them to do. Even you and I played. And so when I was younger, I really used to think like this of like, golly, I could do that better. Like I would have done this, and now that I'm old, I don't really think like that anymore. But I had a college coach one time where I think we're scouting going into Iowa State, and it was his scout, and there's an action that they're running, and he's like, "You just gotta bust through that screen. You gotta push that guy into the stands. It's just as simple as that. You got to do that." I remember thinking like, "Okay, I'm 6'2" and a half, 3/4 maybe. That dude's 7 feet tall. I'm not busting through. It's not as simple as that." So
Right.
my point is, like you said, I think we're not on the floor making sure that we help them to understand the why, but then being careful with saying things like, "Man, it's not as simple as what we think it looks like on the bench because we're not on the floor."
Right, right, yeah, and then, same thing with, like exactly like you said, man, guarding people's stuff. You can watch their film and your own film, and you can walk through it in practice, and it's like, "See, it's this easy," but it moves a lot faster than when you're walking through, and those dudes are a
Yeah,
lot bigger and stronger, and it's like, man, so you don't wanna give them too much grace, but it's also at the same time, it's like, "Hey, man, I understand what I'm asking you to do is hard, but" and I tell the guys this, "But winning is hard." And that's why everybody doesn't walk around with rings on their fingers and
right.
championship banners in their gym. It is something that is hard to do. Um, but I feel like me and Coach Steed have done, you know, at least a fairly good job of getting our guys to buy in. Like, hey, they almost like it when situations are tough. Like they almost thrive in the like we've played in a lot of close games and fortunately been able to come out on top of a lot of them just because in practice, man, we make it hard on them and they're starting to get to that point where they thrive in tough times, which is incredible.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's great. When you see them start to get a little excited for when it gets hard, I think
Oh,
you've got them in a good place. Because I think, human nature is, I want comfort. I want easy. I think and I'm not trying to sound smart. I like to listen to Ryan Holiday's stoicism stuff, and I think Marcus Aurelius had this quote of, it's early in the morning, or it's the idea, it's early in the morning, he wants to sleep in, the covers are warm, and he's like, I wasn't meant to stay warm in my covers. Like, that's not what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to get up and do hard things. And I think without realizing it sometimes, I know as parents we do this. We try to make it very simple and easy and safe for our kids. It's like our job is to put them in this bubble. But then we sometimes end up handicapping them. I think we can do that as coaches,
right.
almost make excuses for them, or I don't know if I go too far down the path of wanting them to be positive, wanting them to bounce back fast. I definitely want them to have that resiliency like you're talking about, but I think we gotta put them in those hard situations and so that they figure out how to handle that hard better.
Without a doubt, man. They have to they have to feel it. I mean, there's no simulating it but you can certainly try, and you can talk
Yeah,
about it and for us, it just circles back to that blue collar identity and like, you could probably ask a couple of our guys and they'd say they don't want it any other way, because we talk about it all the time, man. There's no other route to winning than through it.
yeah,
And I wish there was. I wish you could go around it. I wish you could just go the other way and circle back to it. I mean, go underneath it, but no, you have to go through it,
yeah.
and that's a nugget that I got from Coach Mack and Coach Hodge. Like, there's no other way.
Yeah, and then the mentality shift of like, "Hey guys, not just getting through this, but growing through this." Like, there's a big shift right there.
Without a
Like,
doubt.
and go through and grow through, I think are very like we're saying the same thing. But yeah, I think the mentality sometimes, "Hey guys, we're getting beat. Let's just get through this. Hey guys, this practice is rough right now. Let's just get through this." No, like those times that it's hard, we have the potential for huge growth in those moments, but you gotta have the mentality of, "Hey, this is the best thing for us."
No doubt.
And maybe that's where as coaches, we're a little bit like Jedi mind trick on him sometimes of like this. We all understand this is a tough situation, but then why is he so excited right now? Because we know that the growth is on the other side of that, right?
Yes, definitely. And when you're in situations like that, you're on the cusp of like doing something pretty cool. Whether that's winning a championship, whether that's winning a game. We celebrate every single win because we understand how hard it really is. And we know that winning is hard and we know we have to go right through it. I mean, there's just no other way to say it.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. This isn't something that we talked about or planned for or anything. And what's a drill? Your favorite, like if I was to go to your practice and you were to choose one drill that you feel like just really gets the competitive juices flowing, unlike anything else. I'm going to ask you not to say shell drill, but
Yeah, yeah,
because it
no doubt.
maybe it is. Coach Markley at South Lake loves shell drill, and but he uses it a ton, and so like that he would probably say that. But what's one that man you just think when we do this, guys really get after it?
Yeah, definitely. The one that just pops in my mind, we do a lot of 3-on-3 court-to-court ball screen stuff. And we have, like I said, we have 9 guys, so we have 3 teams of 3, and they stay in the same teams. And like I said, there's winners and losers, and I'll put different scoring options on them. So like offensive rebound will be a point, and
Nice,
paint touch
yeah.
is a point, or a turnovers minus, something like that. That really gets the juices flowing, man. We like to do that towards the end of practice to just get out there and just compete.
Love that. Those small-sided games are a great way that no one can hide.
Nope.
Almost the 2-on-2, 3-on-3, maybe 4-on-4. Everybody's really involved in throughout that entire 15, 20, 30 seconds. And then you take those little situations like a ball screen or any action. I almost think you could take scouting to that level of here's their favorite actions. Let's just play a 3-on-3 game out of this and get a ton of reps, learn how to play, but then get that competitiveness going.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd be lying if I said we didn't do stuff like that because like I said, we have 9 players. So
Yeah.
we can't even go 5-on-5. So we will, we'll grab a part of the main part of their action and we'll 3-on-3 simulate it and, on a little piece of the court and, just talk about where the other guys will be. I mean, it's kind of tough, but I think it's been working out a little bit.
You've said that a few times, and it hasn't registered with me yet. 9 guys. Yeah, that's really hard to go through a whole season with, and obviously, you can get a ton of decision making and reps and skill work and stuff from those small-sided games. But what's it like not being able to or do you have a guy do you jump in? Like, how cool would that be if the head coach is jumping in and hooping? But, like, how are you getting to that 5-on-5, those actions or those reps in practice?
Yeah, so I mean, really the only time we go 5-on-5 is if they run a little action and I can put my manager out there to just walk through it.
Yep,
I mean, we don't
yep.
do anything 5-on-5 that's full speed. Everything we do is 4-on-4 with a sub or 3-on-3 and 3 and I don't necessarily hop in. I don't know if I could play with those guys now, but uh
You wanna
I
keep your
just
credibility too. That's,
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little
yeah.
trickle 'em a little bit. Um, but yeah, no, we don't even try to mess with it, and that's why, having Coach Steed here as a sounding board is excellent because I'd say, "Coach Steed, how can we get a little creative with this?"
Yeah.
How can we simulate this? Well, I think this, what do you think about this? And, that's where Elsie's been a great help, and it's been kinda tricky. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, but,
Yeah.
um
Well, what a great it's humbling to hear that because one of my favorite PGC stories is just about a guy with the rusty sword. And I'm not gonna go through the whole story, but this guy basically has a rusty sword and he's about to get in this battle and he doesn't think he can do anything with that rusty sword, so he throws it down. And he starts running away. But as he run away, the general is going at towards him, towards the enemy with his white horse and his amazing sword and stuff. But an arrow hits his horse. He falls down and he's trying to find a weapon. He picks up that rusty sword and he leads his entire army to victory with that rusty sword. The whole idea there is like somebody with way less could do way more,
yeah.
right?
Uh,
And you're kind of proof of that. Most teams have at least 10 that they can go and they can do things with. You're doing everything with 9, but not like, "Oh, poor us." You're growing through it. You guys are buying in and probably even getting a little chip on your shoulder that you, as a defensive coach, really like for them to have. Or I think any coach likes that, but it does tend to go on that end a little bit more. Coach Sampson, I feel like always he has a chip he talked about, and he always is allowed to put that chip. He puts that chip on his players, but I think, yeah, man, hats off to you and
And
guys like that, like me, that I never went through that. I had 11 or 12 all year long, and I shouldn't be complaining about stuff because you've done more with 9 than probably a lot of us do with 11 or 12. You don't have to say, "Oh, yeah, you're right." I'm just saying I think, that's incredible.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like our guys almost like, dude, they thrive in it. It's the craziest thing. They wear it like a badge of honor. Like, hey, we only got
Yeah,
9 guys, but we're gonna guard you for 40 minutes, and you're not gonna like playing any 9 of us. So
yeah,
it's been an incredible deal with their buy-in and just their toughness and togetherness. I mean, like goes back to our pillars. Like those dudes are embodying that 100%.
did you start the year with 9, or did
We did not.
guys yeah, so guys just some change happened.
Some change. Yes, sir.
You've probably, as an assistant and helping at other schools with McCaslin and coach like that, you've seen them handle defeat, but the few times that has happened for you, how have you handled defeat with your team?
You know, we are ultimately, a big program of accountability. Like we understand, that defeat is gonna come with this deal, same way wins come. Um, and I'm big on, man, yeah, we're gonna celebrate wins and yeah, we hate losing, but we're gonna stay even killed all the way through. It feels amazing to win, and people come up and they pat you on the back and they say, "Hey, coach, you're the best coach in the world," or they tell one of our players, "Hey, you're the best shooter." And the opposite is true, where if we lose, "Hey, I'm the worst coach in the entire country, and our players are terrible." And so we just talk about, "Hey, man, we understand that tonight we were not good enough, and we'll go back to the film room and we'll work on it in practice, but we have to stay even keel." And we have to understand, like, that Terminator like mentality is ultimately what leads to being able to turn the page so quickly. And I tell them after every loss, man, like the beautiful thing about this thing, we get to turn the page really, really quick, because we show up
Yeah,
the next day and we're preparing for the next one. So it's like
right.
can't get hung up. You got to understand what you did tonight wasn't good enough, but we're not going to get so hung up on it and just like I'm not going to kick them while they're down. I understand that nobody likes to lose. And so I'm going to pick them up and help them reflect, and we're going to turn the page.
Yeah. I always felt like it'd be hard to be a football coach. You lose on a Friday night, you have all weekend and all of next week before you can right the ship.
Oh
But the
yeah.
beautiful thing, like you said about our game, is at least 2 a week, but then, man, when you get into tournament time, especially like in high school ball, and there's days where it's like, "All right, we lost. Hey, don't worry. We play in 8 hours. Let's
Right.
bounce back." Like, and then, hey, anything that you felt like we did wrong, we get a chance to fix it. And I just used the word "we," and I circled it, I wrote it down because you use that a ton. When dealing with those losses, huge to say "we." And sometimes I've watched videos, coaches will put their post-game videos out there. That's not my style. I don't really want well, one, I don't say much after games, but, when I see sometimes the coaches saying, "You guys, you didn't do this, you didn't," and I thought, "Man, what a barrier right there, a
Yeah.
divide that's happening. It's us versus you now. It's not us together. You want that togetherness. They gotta know that it's we. And
Right.
maybe you can do the art of like on the wins, it's you guys. You guys played great. You did all this stuff and make that's great. But on the losses, I feel like it has to be we. We will improve. We know we didn't play our best. We can be better. I think that's how you help them through it.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, I how I said, it's a program of accountability, man. I stand up there, I'm the first one to say, like, "Hey, man, I need to be better," and the same way that the guy guarding the basketball needs to be better, the rim help needs to be better. I need to put us in positions that are better. And so I tell them all the time, fellas, I'm growing with you, you know?
Yeah.
the same way that I'm going to have your back all the way through, you guys need to have my back because it is truly we at the end of the day. I have stay together written on the board, and I'm not just talking about those dudes out there. I I'm a guy. I don't sit down during games, and we could be down 30, up 30. I'm standing up and I'm coaching the whole time. So I got no quit in me, man, and it'd be the last thing I'd do on these guys, and so I expect the same thing in return. So to me, it always has to be we.
Coaches and athletic directors, Scoreboard Media is partnering with schools across the country to upgrade facilities, increase funding, and create meaningful student engagement through fully funded LED digital scoreboards. Now with custom score tables installed in just weeks, you can elevate your gym even faster at no cost. With a fully managed sponsorship program, your school receives consistent funding that goes directly to your students and programs. The result? Upgraded facilities, stronger school pride, and deeper connections with your community. Powered by Scoreboard Media. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to get started. You just answered one of my speed round questions, and so let's go ahead and get into that, man. You said you've listened to some of these before, so it's always fun to kind of take somebody through it. First one, really simple. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Man, I got to go vanilla. Real simple.
Any toppings?
No.
Or are you a big sweets guy or a big ice cream fan?
Yeah. I like a milkshake, man. With a little bit of whipped cream on there and
There you go.
Cherry. Oh man, can't beat it.
Man, I'm trying to do a March, no carbs March, just to kind of not detox. That's not the word. But just a restricted diet, go just a little bit heavy protein. I felt like near the end of every season, I'm too much sugar. And so I'm trying to, but then the funny thing is this morning I got up and made a little protein shake. And without even thinking about it, grabbed a handful of blueberries and threw it in my mouth. I was like, oh, crap. So because it's sugar, it is carb. But no, I'm with you. The milkshake, a Chick-fil-A cookies and cream with some whipped cream on, man. That's it. Greatest shooter of all time?
Steph Curry, man. To me, there's no debate on that one. That dude changed the game forever.
I think I might need to change that question. It is just kind of so maybe favorite shooter of all time. You could go back. Guys could go to Larry Bird, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen had some clutch moments, but if we're talking greatest ever, yeah, it has to be him.
Hard to debate that one, man.
Top 3 dinner guests, any time period, can be outside of sports.
I think one, and I'm gonna keep this to sports, man. But I think number one, man, and just to pick his brain, man, I'd have to pick JJ Redick. I listen to a lot of his stuff, man, and just watching old Duke stuff of him. It'd be hard for me not to pick that guy. Number 2, I'd probably pick Dirk. Big Dallas Mavericks fan. Kind of hard after they traded Luka away, but trying to stick it out with him.
Okay. Being a defensive guy, though, do you see it, though? I mean,
I do not see it at all. I'll be honest with you. I just don't. Yeah, you might get frustrated with him not guarding the ball, but man, it's hard to be mad at him.
5-on-4 every possession. I feel bad for his teammates, but he is so darn good offensively.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like nothing that you've ever seen. I mean,
yeah, like my buddy Matt Garnett says, he's better than his problems. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's definitely the boat I lean into, especially for the NBA. College it turns into a little different, but NBA ball, man, I got to go with them. And then,
okay, so Dirk, Redick, and
then Texas football fan, man, I got to go Mac Brown.
Huh? Wow.
Yeah. He's actually on. He has my favorite podcast episode of all time when he went on. I think it's Positive You. Man, I've listened to that deal probably 10 times. It's my favorite podcast of all time.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna check that out. Mac Brown. Didn't expect that. That's good. What are your thoughts on the job that JJ Redick has been doing?
Man, I actually love it, man. I think he does a good job of holding those dudes accountable, which is kind of fresh to see in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like that circulating, I think it was today, of him getting on Luka when he took him out of the game. Have you seen that one? And
no, I'll look it up though.
Yeah, and Luka kind of was talking back and stuff like that, but you can just tell JJ's holding him accountable. So
I like him a lot. I love his ideas of how the game. I was a little worried about him getting into it with that team and that dynamic. And I think I think it's hard to coach LeBron,
Yeah.
and he's incredible, but more from a control standpoint.
Yes.
Like, who's really in control? Who's really can is the coach calling the shots? And and because you've seen him on successful teams, and then that coach is gone,
Right.
but they won, and
Yeah.
so, but I like him. I'm hoping it works out for him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it will, man. And just, I'm sure you've listened to a lot of his podcasts, man. I don't know if there's hardly any better basketball minds out there. Just
Oh
thinking the
man,
game.
yeah, yeah. I tried when he was doing the old man, and what was the name
Yeah.
of the podcast? Yeah, I tried to message them and be like, "Hey, I'm a high school coach. I'd love to have you on before this, all the NBA stuff,"
Yeah.
and never got a bite. So that's okay. Best basketball movie of all time.
Man, my favorite of all time is Glory Road. That's just one I grew up on. Just it was always in
Yeah,
the back seat of the car, with that little movie display, and we just always had that thing on. So that's got to be my favorite.
that was a good movie. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Definitely shot clock. Definitely shot
Thanks,
clock.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think and specifically whenever I'm talking about recruiting people, it makes it easier because you don't have to teach them to kind of have that inner clock, and they don't have to get
Yeah.
used to it. They'd already have a feel for it.
And see, that's where I have heard this argument against it is for Allen High School, it makes complete sense. All of those dudes, for the most part, are going to go play in college.
Right.
So they need to be preparing for that. I want to get to the point where at Midway High School, we are preparing future college players. And I think we will. I think we have some now.
Right.
But there's a lot of schools out there that's not what they're doing. They're not preparing them for that, but then that's where I still go on just the developmental side of it, teaching them to make faster decision, quicker reads, have to learn to play the game a little bit more once that first part of your quick hitter breaks down. They got to play. I still think it's good for that reason.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. I mean, just I think it's good for the game all over the place, man. I don't like those
Yeah.
games that finish 14-10, you know.
Do players sit the rest of the first half with 2 fouls?
More times than not, yes. Yeah, just, I think it's one of those deals. I'd rather save them from themselves, even if they think
Yeah. Know your players, right?
yes, even if they think they can show their hands and not foul, I don't trust referees enough, if we're being honest.
True.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go ahead and just save them for the second half.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas, 100%. Yeah, I
Yes.
like getting to see all the family and a little bit of cold weather. So,
Yeah. What book would you what book would you give someone?
man, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge reader. I'd
Yeah.
be lying if I tried to tell you I've read 150 books, or whatever, but my personal favorite book that I've ever read is Maravich by I'm trying to think of the name of the guy. I think his last name's Phillips. Yeah, that's my personal favorite book of all time, man.
Pistol or Maravich?
It's called Maravich.
Maravich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the cover's like his shoes with socks in.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
see, I read The Pistol, which is a lot more about his dad and then some of his college year stuff, and then goes into him transforming his life after the NBA, but I
Right.
haven't read Maravich. That's a good one?
Yeah, it's a good read, man. It deep
Okay.
dives into like like his upbringing, college
Yeah.
years, I mean, it's the whole deal.
He was fascinating. If on my 3 dinner guests, he would be one. Not just one, his homework basketball VHS tapes back in the day transformed me in skill work, really gave me a love for drills and skill work.
Right, yeah.
Just I would watch it and in the house, pause it, go out in the garage because I lived in Pennsylvania where it was cold, and I would work on it until I felt like, "Okay, I got this." Go in and watch the next one.
Yeah,
So, he had already passed by that time, but indirectly, he was huge, and then to just kinda talk to him about his radical life change that he went through,
yeah,
he'd be one of mine.
yeah, and I'd be lying if I said the movie The Pistol isn't on my top 3. I mean, I'll tell you,
The homemade made for TV movie?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
really
it
good.
makes you wanna put on a white shirt, a white Hanes T-shirt and go out to the driveway and shoot hoops, man.
I wanna go ride my bike and dribble down or try to find some railroad tracks and try to hit bounce on
Yep,
those.
yep.
Yeah,
Spin the
yeah.
ball on your finger for an hour, you know?
He told a story about how, he did that, but it was I think this was on his homework basketball tapes. He said he did that, but for doing that for an hour, he won $5, but doing that for an hour busted his fingers up so bad that he had to go to the doctor, and it was, like, way more than $5 to get
Oh,
his
wow.
fingers fixed. So he actually says it was a horrible idea that he did.
Yeah, that's funny.
A favorite place to travel?
Man, one time we took a family trip up to Boston, and forever will remember that. So that's probably gonna be my number one.
It's a cool city.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
food, man, like,
yeah,
right there by the coast. I mean, it was awesome. We went to a
yeah.
Red Sox game. I mean, yeah, it was just a whole deal, man.
Alright, 2 more. Yeah, I'm gonna ask this one. This is, well, first, in basketball, who as a player, who's the GOAT?
LeBron, 100.
Ooh. So when I said he's hard to coach, let me back up a little bit. I think he's harder to coach now because of he was a defensive liability at times. He can chase down and block and stuff, but off the ball, I feel like he's just kinda standing there some.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
different deal.
but I think it's getting worse, but his career and everything, he's on my Mount Rushmore for sure. Why is he the GOAT for you?
Man, I just think, number one in points and just I don't even
Yeah.
know the numbers, but just, where he's at all time and rebounds and assists and steals. I mean, I it's just hard for me to argue again. And now I'm not saying he's my favorite player of all time, because I agree with you,
That's a
man. He's
different
kinda hard.
question. Yeah.
He's hard to
Yeah.
watch, sometimes for me, especially now, like you said, he does a lot of
Yeah.
standing around,
But
but
he's still performing
yeah,
in
it's
an
crazy.
incredible level. So it's not like he sucks. It's just like how do you get onto him now?
Yeah,
He is he
for sure.
he is he's been doing it for 21 years and he's still it's just to me that'd be a challenge, but probably a
Yes.
challenge that most coaches would take because it's LeBron.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that'd be a challenge. Just
All right, last one. And this is interesting because I like to ask this question for guys like that have been going 30 years or so. But starting out like you are, if this was your last year of coaching, what would you do more of?
man, I think I probably see things with some rose-colored glasses on a little bit more. I'd enjoy the wins and the losses. I probably wouldn't treat them as so devastating. Not that I don't turn the page quick, but man, there's that sting. Sometimes it can last.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd probably and then just with the players, man. And I tell them all the time, like how grateful I am to even just be standing up in front of them, and grateful that they let me coach them. But just enjoying every single day and just approaching it with some graciousness, like, hey, building these relationships with these guys because it is way deeper than basketball at the end of the day.
Yeah. Coach, this has been awesome, man. Gave me over an hour of your time. Busy time of the year for you. So thankful grateful that you would give up your time and excited
Of
to
course.
see what happens with your career at Paris Junior College and everything you're doing there. So just really appreciate it.
No, man, like I said at the beginning, man, I'm completely honored that you even texted me to ask me to be on it, man. I see some of the guys that you got on here. I'm like, I can't believe I'm on the same level as those guys. So
Well, to me, it was a no-brainer. I saw the picture, that you had gotten that head coaching title, and then didn't even know though about what had happened earlier in the year.
right.
And I know who you are, and I know like about your family and your dad. And I thought, and we've been in the same gyms together at different
Yeah.
times and stuff. And
Yeah.
so like our paths have crossed. And so this was just I was so excited to see it. And then for you to actually say yes was just I was honored to
Yeah.
have it.
No doubt, man. I remember for those Texas Impact Day, I was the assistant for the E team 17U, and I remember it was your stepson that was on the 16U.
That's
I remember getting to meet you, man, and I'm telling you, it's truly an honor just to be on your podcast. Like I said, I was really a listener ever since then. So I mean,
wow.
yeah,
That was really around the time I think it was just starting out, maybe a year or so into it, and never
Yeah.
dreamt that I would be year 5
Right. Yeah.
somehow. That's the crazy thing about time though, time and careers, all this stuff. I still feel like I'm, in year 4 or 5 of coaching, but now it's 19 and it's so fast. And so,
Right.
man, enjoy it. And just, you're doing such an awesome job with those guys, and best of luck. What's the year look like right now where you're at?
So we have 2 regular season games left. We play on the road at Panola on Wednesday, and then we get Lamar State Port Arthur here at home on Friday. And then we will leave down to Baytown on Monday and start our region tournament on Tuesday. So,
Man,
yeah, it's happening quick.
it's awesome. Well, good luck in the rest of with the season, and then enjoy a little bit of time right after when it's done, because you've earned it after the year, the changes that you've gone through with those guys, and just really appreciate your time.
Yeah, Coach, I appreciate you, man.
Coaches, want proof your players are working? Bology tracks every shot and generates workouts on the spot. No more guesswork. Train smarter today. Download the free Bology app.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.